My best friend wants me to work with my pist on her wedding. I have a best friend, we'll call her Tina, who I've known most of my life. We have had a strong friendship from middle school all the way until we graduated from the same college. We have always been there for each other, and I tell her pretty much everything. Back in junior year of high school, a guy, we'll call him Rod, roped me at a house party. He never apologized for it, and it put me in a deep downward spiral to the point where I almost wanted to drop out in order to never see his face again. I told Tina about it, and she did everything she could to support me. Fast forward to early 2020, Tina and her boyfriend, Josh, announced that they were getting engaged, and Tina wanted me to be the maid of honor. I was beyond excited to do it. We've always talked about being each other's maids of honor. There was another detail, though. Josh had a similar friendship history with his best man, and they thought it would be adorable if the maid of honor and best man worked together on everything and were their own second package on the wedding day. I guess it was their way of making us feel a little more excited for weddings of our own. I found out that the best man was going to be Rod, and that he and Josh remained best friends after high school. I thought Rod was just in the friend group, but it turns out they were as close as could be. My heart sank, and I simply didn't know how to respond. They expected us to work together and be together the whole wedding process, and that sounded like literal hell. I started thinking about whether Tina never told Josh or that Josh heard and just didn't care. All I know is that I was having second thoughts about the wedding after that. I texted Tina about my concerns with Rod coming in the most polite way possible, and she sent me this in reply. I know about what happened with you guys back in the day, but Rod seems to be a great guy now. It would just really mean a lot if you can push that memory away for the duration of this. Please just trust me, I didn't know how to respond to this, and luckily the wedding planning process has been at a halt since COVID. I haven't responded to her since that text, but now this has really been bugging me. Should I just say no? It would probably break her heart, but I just don't know if I can handle working with my ropist. Help. Update. First of all, thank you so much for the support on my first post. I did not expect it to gain that much attention. I guess a lot has happened since then. I don't know if it's even been a week yet, but this is going to change my life, perhaps for the better. There were hundreds of comments, and I thought I'd address a few questions regarding the rope itself. I don't appreciate how some of these were asked, but I'll share anyway for the sake of clarifying things. 1. Was I under the influence? Yes, but I remember vividly saying no. I was drunk enough to have all my strength and mobility wonky, but I didn't black out or anything. The force he used on me didn't seem that of someone who is drunk. He looked completely sober, but I could be wrong. I remember a couple of times when I was trying to lift myself off the bed, and he would push me back down. I remember the expression on his face. Like you guys said, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. That's all I'm willing to share for now. The only person who knows all the details is Tina. Is it bad that I wish she knew nothing now? Maybe it would hurt less. Point 2. Why didn't I report it? Because I saw how that turned out for other girls I knew. I've had a few other friends, not Tina, who have had the same thing happen to them and nothing came out of reporting it, and it made them feel worse. Just the few comments calling me a liar stung, so I can't imagine how I would have felt back as my unstable teen self. Not only that, I was scared of what Rod would do if he found out I had reported him. There was just something about him that made me never want to cross him. Reading all your comments, it seems pretty clear that how Tina was treating me was extremely inconsiderate, and I should find a new friend. Although it was a huge slap in the face, I came to my senses and believed that I couldn't be around someone who would do that to me. Some of you said to expose them during vows, but that's just not the kind of person I am, and it might not turn out well. A few of you gave me example texts I could send, which I am extremely thankful for, but I decided to send this. I've had time to think about it, and I just can't be your maid of honor anymore. It's so hurtful that you are telling me to pack up my trauma for who knows how long until your wedding day. I just can't do it. I don't think I will come at all knowing that he's going to be there. I'm sorry. It's pretty weak, but it's probably the meanest text I've ever sent. An hour later, I got a call from Josh. He asked me what was going on with me and Tina, and that she was extremely upset. A part of me snapped, and I said, I don't know. What's going on with you making someone who roped me best man? I don't usually blurt things out like that. He was confused, and I repeated myself. He was silent for a few seconds and then asked if he could come over. I was a little wary of the idea, but I said sure. I know we should be socially distant, but this really needed to be discussed. He comes to my apartment 40 minutes later without Tina. I have never hung out with Josh one-on-one before, it was always with Tina. Josh always had a really cute and sweet personality, and I've always approved of him when it came to dating her. He was really only a friendly acquaintance to me, though. We sat down and spoke for over an hour. Tina had told Josh that the reason I wasn't coming to the wedding was that I didn't want to work with Rod because I had a crush on him and thought she was forcing the relationship too much. So basically, she said we had a petty girl fight. My jaw hit the floor, and I was fuming. She had obviously never told Josh what Rod did to me. I shared that Rod had roped me back in high school and that Tina knew about it. I asked if he knew too. He said he didn't, but at one point Rod did mention that a few crazy bitches falsely accused him of rope senior year. This obviously didn't include me, since I only told Tina and a few family members. Josh believed him at the time, but I guess after hearing me say it, it's starting to dawn on him that his friend was a liar. Here's something that I didn't expect. Josh shared with me that he was roped when he was a kid by an older brother of a friend he had. He said that if he was forced to work with said brother at a wedding, he would absolutely refuse. He apologized heavily on behalf of Tina, but I won't forgive unless she says it herself. I know some of you may think Josh is lying, but I believe him. I could see it by Josh's face and body language that the realization really weighed down on him, and I felt bad. In a way, we were both going through a betrayal. I asked if he was okay to go home, and he said yes. He thanked me for telling him and left. I don't know if I'll stay in touch with him, but I was beyond furious with Tina at this point. I was expecting an angry text coming from her, and sure enough, I got it at like midnight. She went off saying that I'm going to end up destroying their marriage. How could I do that to her, etc., etc. I just pressed the block button and went to bed. Quickest decision ever made. I'm feeling a little down in the dumps right now, yet slightly relieved. I'm going to try to connect with other friends and try to move on from this. If I'm feeling brave enough, I might try to find these crazy bitches and see if we can make a case against Rod. Knowing that there are other victims makes me feel so guilty I want to scream. Sorry it's not too happy of an ending, but I think it might have been more unhappy if I decided to go along with it. Thank you, Reddit.
Story 2. My family likes to take my seat whenever I get up. I got fed up and brought my own chair to gatherings. BIL does not take to this very well. Ends up going full Hulk okay, hear me out. For as long as I can remember in my family, almost any time I got up from my seat, someone would take it to either be funny or to claim it as if no one was using it. And as a teenager, it literally got to the point I bought my own folding chair so I could pick it up and carry it with me. If I left it where it was, someone would take it, then get mad when I want it back. As an example, on a holiday last year, I got up from my chair for a moment to help with something and came back to find a kid in it. And then the family berated me for wanting them to move. But I tell them that when a man owns and brings his own chair, they expect to be able to use it. I own a very nice folding chair that's comfortable and easily portable. And I pretty much bring it to any family event because people are always scrambling for chairs. Well, the other day, I went to a birthday party for my nephew. And like always, I brought my own chair. But at some point, I had to use the bathroom. When I came back, my chair was gone. And everyone acted like they didn't know where it was. I said they had 1 minute to return it or I was leaving. They laughed at first, but then realized I was serious as I started going for the door. Everybody told me to just calm down, and it was just a joke. I said I don't care if they think I'm a stick in the mud. I wouldn't be bringing my own chair all the time if other people weren't always taking my seat when I get up. I don't think it's funny, I never did. My brother-in-law then pulled the chair out of where he'd hidden it, and when I got it back, one of the legs was bent. I said it was not like this before, and how could he possibly have done this to a metal chair? He said he could fix it and try to unbend it, but only made it worse. The chair is pretty much unusable now because the leg is warped and I don't want to risk putting weight on it. I told my brother-in-law he owes me $50 for the chair because that's what I paid for it 2 years ago. He got mad and kept saying it was just a stupid chair. I said it was my stupid chair, and this wouldn't have happened if he wasn't so immature that he and everyone else had to mess with me for years about where I sit. Then I took my now messed up chair and walked out. My family has been blowing my phone up saying that it's just a chair and to let it go, but I still want my brother to pay me back for it. Am I the a-hole? Update. Last night I sent a mass text out to my family that I will not be going to any family function, no matter how important it is, until they make this right by promising not to screw with me anymore and repay me for the chair. They've mostly gone quiet now, but I can wait. I've got all the time in the world for them to realize I'm serious. I walked out over a chair, and my family tore itself apart. I wasn't going to come back here again. To be honest, I'd completely forgotten I made this account. I only got back in because I'd written down the password and left it on my desk. I was listening to Reddit videos on YouTube a couple weeks ago when I suddenly heard my old AIKA post. So I thought I'd give an update. Well, things escalated a lot after I made that post because I linked it to my parents and other family members after a little while. They were furious with me at first. Some even mocked me, saying things like, "Oh, watch what you say or do around Opie. You might just post about it on Reddit." But when they actually read the comments on my post when I made them, they became mortified. My BIL did agree to pay for a new chair and gave me the money I asked for. I bought a better folding chair than my last one and resumed going to family functions. But whenever I was there was this air about some of the family members. They looked at me like I'd sucked all the fun out of the room. My parents had stopped thinking the chair thing was funny and even scolded a kid for taking my seat when I got up to use the bathroom. The only problem is that this kid was my nephew, and he started crying when they made him get up. My BIL came to the boy's rescue, and my nephew ended up blurting out that his daddy told him he could do it. When I was out of the bathroom, there was a big fight about it going on. Several family members, including my sister and BL, were all yelling that it was just a damn chair, and I shouldn't be so butthurt about it. My parents demanded to know why they were so butthurt about not being allowed to screw with me anymore. Like, what was their motivation after doing it for so long? It made no sense and wasn't funny anymore. And that's when I intervened. I told them none of this crap would have ever happened if they hadn't been so intent on messing with me when there really was no point to it. And I only started bringing my own chair because I could never find a stable place to sit. And if they still thought they were in the right about the situation, then they were just bullies, plain and simple. And what kind of example is that to be setting for their son? My BIL raged, grabbed my new chair, and hurled it through the living room bay window. There was a bit of a pause before he realized what he'd just done. Then he took off in his car and left my sister and nephew there. My parents got my sister to call him, and over the phone they threatened to go to police if he didn't pay for the damages. BIL yelled a few F-bombs until my sister took the phone back, and she said that he can either make things right or she'll divorce him. Well, that did the trick because he came back looking like a kicked puppy with his head hanging low. He apologized to me and my parents without even looking at us, said he'd pay for the new bay window, and left again. My sister said he drank himself to sleep that night. My new chair was just fine. It took being hurled through a bay window like a champ. There was hardly a scratch on it. My brother hired a window company to come and replace the window, and they had to measure and order a new one before it could be installed. And until then, the window had to be covered with plywood. It took some time, but they got the new bay window, and it's better than the old one. Though I imagine that it was extra expensive because it's a bay window. The family was still divided about the situation for a while. Mainly BIL's parents, my uncle, and a couple cousins. They blamed me and called me obnoxious over insisting on bringing my own chair and refusing to let anyone else use it. So I compromised. I said that if I had a good designated seat that no one will try to take away, I'll leave my chair in my car. It took 2 more family barbecues before they finally agreed to this. Since then, I've left the chair in my car unless there really wasn't enough seating. And that's only happened once since. The problem is, though, that even though they stopped screwing with me, they were still screwing with each other until things went too far. They still like to take each other's seats. But I guess others were following my example because they put their feet down and demanded it stop. It's been going on for decades, and they've had enough. BIL stayed out of the fight entirely and hasn't caused any more trouble. But for several family functions, a number of people didn't bother to show up. My mother was broken up about it because she loves hosting parties. It took months, but everything more or less normalized again. But without the chair thing going on, some have resorted to other stupid pranks. Like a little device you hook to a chair that makes farts. They didn't do this to my seat, but did it to a cousin. And said cousin got really petty at the next party and let out real farts. He said he ate a whole pack of fiber bars and had eggs for breakfast. And it was damn nasty. Other pranks included hiding eating utensils, a stink bomb, hiding some sort of monster thing in the toilet, cellophane in a doorway, ripping paper when somebody bends over, messing with drinks, hiding shoes, copying outfits, a container of foam packing peanuts above a doorway, and finally the one that really infuriated my aunt and uncle when a party was held at their house. A glitter bomb. They got the carpet professionally cleaned and billed the person who made the glitter bomb for it. So now pranks are just over. They don't want any more. I'm fine with that. But the last few family functions have been a bit dull. I think they were so used to how things were that now they're trying to find other ways to amuse themselves that don't involve cell phones.